Welcome to Worth Your Time with your hosts from the nationally syndicated Bob and Tom Show, Kristi Lee, and the president and CEO of the Indianapolis Zoo, Dr. Rob Shumaker. Our mission to inform, entertain, and educate with guests from all aspects of life. We guarantee there isn't another podcast that features two hosts with such different backgrounds and discussions with remarkable people doing exceptional things. So let's get started. Here are your hosts, Kristi Lee and Dr. Rob Shumaker.
Hi, everybody. Welcome to our brand new podcast called Worth Your Time. I'm Kristi Lee, along with Dr. Rob Shumaker. You can say hi now.
How are you?
I'm good. We selected the title Worth Your Time because we want to bring some very interesting, thought-provoking guests to our listeners. Is that correct?
I'm thinking about it as really interesting people doing exciting and interesting things.
Yes, and there are so many people out there that I have always said this, and you and I were talking off air, if you will, about everyone has a story. And there's so many compelling, interesting stories that get lost in the shuffle sometimes. And so I think this is going to be a really interesting, fun way to bring to a lot of folks people that you may not run across in every day-to-day life or even in your social media mixes or wherever you get your newscasts, which is one of the reasons I wanted to do it, because when I did my old podcast, I found that out. And I loved just talking to people and finding out that story. Like, what makes you tick? What makes you interesting? Because everyone's interesting. Do you not agree?
I totally agree. I had a friend who used to always say, everybody's got a talent. And she said, you got to remember that because you might run into somebody and maybe you don't think they're very interesting, but you could get to know them a little bit better. And you're like, oh, wow, that's amazing that you do that. Mm-hmm. So for me, that's what's exciting. I mean, I can tell you for me, there's really three reasons that are making me feel super compelled to do this. And I'm incredibly excited about it.
Okay, go.
All right, I'll tell you. Well,
write them down.
I'll tell you the first one, and then 2 and 3 are selfish.
Okay.
Number one, it's really a reflection of what you said, but it's a little bit broader in the fact that I do think we're in a time when it's really easy to forget there are other ideas out there and things that might challenge your thinking, and hopefully, and when I say challenge your thinking, I mean in a good way. That makes it interesting, makes it provocative. But we all create our own little information bubble with our own social media. And this is a phrase I use in a lot of other contexts. We curate our own information. And that's fine. It's good. It's enjoyable. I'm not sure it's super healthy. Because I think we need that. So for me, talking to people who are really interesting and doing unusual and fascinating things, that's outside of what I would generally find when I look at information or social media. And I think that's a really great thing to offer because expanding your thinking and challenging your thinking is super healthy.
Absolutely.
And I'm excited to do that. And when I say that, I don't want to think controversy or conspiracy. I don't mean that kind of chat.
No, we're going to do fun stuff.
Fun, interesting, exciting, provocative.
Worth your time.
I love that. Worth your time.
Yeah.
Now, here are the selfish parts 2 and 3. Number 2, even though everybody has to make small talk and chit-chat and all that and all kinds of reasons, I don't love doing that. But one of the things I really do love is having a great conversation with a fascinating person, especially someone maybe I've never met before. I love that. The kind of thing where you lose track of time and you're excited to go down that rabbit hole with somebody. So I love that. And I think we're going to have the opportunity to do a lot of that.
Oh, I do too. Yeah.
And then the third one, and I think we have known each other now, I don't know, 5 years, 6 years, something like that.
6 or 7 years.
Several years. That you are one of the most, first of all, fun, but also enjoyable and interesting people that I know.
That is such a compliment coming from you. Thank you.
That's totally true. And also, the other thing that's true is we have almost nothing in common. You have a totally different background than I do. We have totally different professions. I think we probably come at the world in totally different ways.
Yep.
But I like that. And I like the fact that those two different perspectives we can inflict those two different perspectives on the same person at the same time while we talk to them. That to me would be exciting to know, what the heck are we talking about now when you're getting questions from two different entire perspectives. For me, that's a really compelling way to go about this, and I think unique. Something I don't know where else to find.
First of all, I'm very flattered.
It's absolutely true.
Because I don't see myself that way. So thank you. The reason I want to do this is there are a couple of very selfish reasons. Number one, to prove that I do have thoughts, opinions, and I don't get interrupted all the time, and I'm allowed to express myself and be me.
Try not to interrupt.
We're sitting right now in the Bob and Tom studio. I'm not going to break the fifth wall, but I point over to the headmaster's seat over there where I feel like I'm always being watched. And so this is a way to express some of my own creativity and my own interests, and I'm very excited about that. And conversely, I find you one of the most interesting people I've ever met.
That's awesome. Thank you.
mean, you do, we can tease this now. Dr. Rob Shumaker is the president of the Indianapolis Zoo in Indianapolis, Indiana.
That's true.
And probably one of the most amazing facilities that I've ever been involved with or been even able to visit. And your background is so fascinating to me because of a big animal lover, and you've done things that I've only dreamt about.
Yeah.
And we're going to delve into some of those things. And I'm not going to jump into the interview role because I was told not to do that because it's going to be hard for me.
Not by me.
I know. And we will get to that in a little bit. But I just find it very cool that you are so much more than animals. Does that make sense?
Oh, yeah.
And I think a lot of people don't know that. And I'm anxious to share that part of you with the world because you aren't allowed to do that very often in your role either. So we're both getting to do things we're not normally able to do in our real world roles. Does that make sense?
Makes perfect sense to me, which is why we're doing this.
Yes, I hope it makes perfect sense to you, the listener.
And I was thinking, if it turns out it doesn't make sense and none of that works, we can still keep doing it. We just have to change the title of the...
Yeah, not worth your time.
Not worth your time. Vaguely worth your time.
Maybe it's worth your time. No, we are definitely going to be worth your time. As a matter of fact, we're going to come back with our next episode and delve into the world of Dr. Rob Shumaker a little bit and find out just a little bit about your background because a lot of people do not know you. A lot of people do not know me.
Yep.
Do mine later. Mine's not near as interesting. I'm going to tell you that now. But be sure and share.
Wait, I am going to interrupt.
I know.
The self-deprecating stuff. The people that you mentioned whose phone numbers you have in your phone are amazing.
Oh,
I'm sorry, I'm thinking of some names and I shouldn't name them.
Maybe we'll get them as guests. We'll try.
Maybe. But I think of the people you know and that you have, again, that you can just pick up and call. To me, it's absolutely incredible. So the fact, but here's what's interesting.
But you have the same thing in your phone.
I do. I do. But I think that's the point is you don't see your life as that interesting or extraordinary. I certainly do. And I think of my life as, to me, it's absolutely normal, everyday kind of stuff.
How many animals do you have at your house, right?
A lot.
How many?
I don't know. I didn't count. I haven't counted.
Normal. That is not
no, it isn't. No, I know it's not normal. It's unusual, but it's normal for me. And so that's what I try and remind myself. The things that are normal every day in my life are not for a lot of other people.
Which makes you very interesting.
I know that I have an unusual profession and a lot of weird things.
We're going to delve into that coming up. So be sure and share with your friends. Tell them all about the podcast. Subscribe. Once again, it's called Worth Your Time with Kristi Lee and Dr. Rob Shumaker. And we're going to come back with our next episode. So you don't want to miss it because we're going to delve into the world of Dr. Rob.
You've been listening to Worth Your Time with Dr. Rob Shumaker and Kristi Lee. If you like what you hear, please give a review wherever you get your podcasts. And don't forget to tell your friends. Word of mouth is the best compliment. Thanks to our producers, Chris Spangle of Leaders and Legends, LLC. You can reach him at leadersandlegends.net. Also, thanks to Sophie Ritz. I'm Christopher Geisen. Thanks for joining us.